Technology at Memphis Grizzlies, and Trey Sheneman, Executive Marketing Director at Ramsey Solutions. Now it's my honor to turn this over to our panelists so they can introduce themselves. Tammy, let's start with you.
Oh, good morning, everybody. My name is Tammy Nixon, and I am the Director of Marketing for North America for Franke Kitchen Systems. I've been with the company for 5 years. Prior to that, I was with Singer Sewing Machines for 13 years as Director of Marketing for North America.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Jasmene.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jasmene Bowdry. I am the founder of The Boutique Teacher, where I teach emerging boutique owners how to scale their online business. Prior to that, I was a buyer for several Fortune 500 retailers, managing soft lines and hard lines for the last 12 years.
Thank you. We'll move over to Albert, and I believe I butchered your name, and I apologize. I think it's Albert Hughes, correct?
Yes, sir. That is Albert Hughes. Right now, I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing Technology for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm over websites, mobile app. We have 5 different brands outside of the Memphis Grizzlies. So our G League affiliate, our esports team, a media company that we have in our arena. And so I've been doing that for the last two years, and previously for the last 10 years, I've been in a variety of positions, mostly dealing with digital media, web development, mobile development.
Thank you. And Trey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Trey Sheneman. I currently work for Ramsey Solutions, where most people know us by our founder, Dave Ramsey, Money Guy on the radio. I actually oversee the marketing for one of the 3 divisions of the company that is the primary e-commerce division that we have with our flagship product, which is called Financial Peace University, and our budgeting software, which is called Every Dollar. And prior to that, I've been here for 2 years. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, I owned 2 different marketing agencies in the metro Atlanta area, and we primarily focused in e-com, app subscriptions, membership sites, the sites of that nature. So excited to be on the panel today to talk about what's going on in the world with e-commerce right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. I'd like to open up this discussion, and we'll start with Jasmene. Tell us about the Boutique Teachers plan and your digital experience, and if your strategies have changed during COVID-19. And the rest of you can jump in with your own experiences whenever you like.
Definitely. So with the Boutique Teacher, as well as I'm also an online boutique owner myself. So the strategies that I've been teaching my clients, and also what I've been implementing during this time, is really using this as a way to engage more with my audience and customers, as well as providing more personalized experiences. So this was really the time where you can actually, send out surveys to your audience, get dig deeper into some of those pain points. So really just kind of pivoting to what they actually, need right now. So with selling clothes, and primarily, boutique owners who I work with, they sell fashion. So, at a time where nobody's really going anywhere, how can you really cater your product assortment to fit what your customers need right now? So that's really what has been the focus for the last, three months.
For us, I'll just jump in with Ramsey. Within my division, we have 2 primary distribution arms. We have a third-party kind of wholesale model that we partner with nonprofits and local churches to distribute our materials, and then we have our direct-to-consumer arm. And we were in about a 3-year change management process to try and flip our funnel to being a largely direct-to-consumer run and not being third-party run. And what COVID ended up causing us to do is to have to go all in on the direct-to-consumer arm in the very short order. As you can imagine, with churches shuttering their doors and people being forced to work from home, there weren't small groups of people gathering to take financial classes anymore. And so we just ratcheted up what was the last 18 months of the plan, and literally knocked out kind of the key punch list items in about 30 days to make a new viable version of our product digital first and available in the market. And it's been a fundamental revolution for not only our current state of our business, but for how we'll do business moving forward. I'm not sure we will ever go back to the model that we were in, even remotely close to it. And it's actually been quite breathtaking for us from the response that our existing customers, as well as people who might not have given us a shot before, are actually giving us a shot now because of how easy we've made it for people to do what we're doing right now. And use Zoom or Hangouts to actually experience our product and the content that we share. And it's been pretty special to see, actually.
Yeah, and to your point, Trey and Jasmine, we've been experiencing the same thing. Prior to COVID, we've always been trying to, increase our consumer experience because, digital obviously is at the forefront of marketing, but it's really had, made us think forward. Primarily our business is, high-end sinks and faucets. And it really increased the demand because a lot of people were at home. So, how do we create that experience for them? And even our showroom partners, finding different ways where we partnered with them, in doing more virtual, and as we go through this and we start thinking, future, we have upped our game in all of our content online. So everything now has to have A+ content because our consumers are shopping online. And if nothing else, it made us understand that they may not make that final purchase online, but they are going there for their information. So we've really upped our game over the last 3 months with all of our A+ content so that, customers can understand. Because, how do you make a sink, as I call it, how do we make a sink sexy online? It's a box that you wash dishes in. So, we've had to get really creative on how we go to market and make that thing look pretty.
Yeah, I think here at the Grizzlies, one of the challenges has been kind of our product is on hold in a sense, right? So there's a lot of things where we had to really shift and put a lot of focus into engagement, into loyalty, into kind of being able to still interact with our fan base, interact with our customers without actually being able to sell them tickets to a game or things like that. So I've seen a lot of engagement and loyalty, whether that's us coming up with new creative ways to do things on Zoom, to speak with our season ticket members that way, and just try to find interesting ways to engage. I've also seen a lot of where over the last 2 years, a lot of our marketing efforts, we've moved from traditional and we kind of started walking towards digital. And I think over the last 3 months, we've had to pick up and sprint. And so good thing is we were kind of preparing ourselves for kind of moving to really being digital first, mobile tickets, things of that nature. And then now over these last few months, we've really had the ability to kind of press fast forward and like from an organizational standpoint, everybody has kind of seen a need for that digital transformation or that shift. So more than anything, I think it kind of accelerated a lot of the stuff that we were kind of in plans to do or kind of walking our way to. It accelerated that.
Thank you, guys. I want to kind of start the conversation with a look back in history a little bit, and maybe you guys have discussed this with your teams, but how has, it's hard to compare this to our last crisis, which would have been 9/11, but because e-commerce is so different today. But how has the previous crises helped you to formulate your plan for what we're going through at the moment?
I'll go first. So the fundamental change for us in activating a digital first mindset from an analog first mindset is solely built on the foundation of testing. For us, we knew out of the gate we weren't going to get it right the first time, probably not the second time or the third time. And so one of the biggest things that I kind of like a visual that I was using with my team is like, I want us to be white knuckled in control about where we're going with our future, but I want us to be open-handed about how we're going to get there. And it's going to take us trying a bunch of different things in this space. Thankfully for us, because of past situations, we weren't 100% analog. We were about 65% analog. So we at least had some budget. We've been doing some exploration. We've been getting customers. So we were able to see, all right, these are the things that don't have a ceiling right now. We can go ratchet those up right out of the gate. Here are the things we need to go and test right now from a positioning standpoint, from a funnel standpoint, from an experience standpoint. So I would say with anything, if you ever believe you've got it all figured out, just wait a year. and something will happen, to your business. A key team member will leave, a crisis will happen, a bubble will burst. So if you're not open-handed and have a spirit of testing, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. Like you have to constantly be pursuing iteration within your funnels, within your plans.
Yeah. And to your point, Trey, I mean, for us, like life-changing events, with 9/11 and now COVID, I mean, these are things that keep changing, the markers in what's happening in the world. And each one that we go through brings a new set of challenges. And even just look at our lives over the last, just personally, how our lives have changed. What becomes the new normal? After 9/11, what was the new normal? I mean, security measures when we flew. What's the new normal today? And same in our business set. I mean, we have to adapt and adjust these changing events that face us in a day-to-day business. And, for us in 9/11, it really didn't impact our business as such. I mean, it did in the New York market because, our sales depleted, there was a sense of insecurity. But, for around the world, but this COVID, I mean, this is affecting everybody worldwide. I mean, we're a worldwide organization, and, together on monthly calls, we're all facing the same situation. But the nice thing is that we can all share best practices and what's working in our markets, and really it will apply. What's working in France will apply in the United States and will apply in Canada.
I think this will really, I'm sorry, Albert.
No, go ahead, Jasmine. Go ahead.
I think what this will really do, and just kind of moving forward, especially in, large retail businesses, big box brands tend to move a little slower in the industry. They're a little slower to react. They're a little slower to invest in, technology. They don't really kind of jump on the latest trends. And I think what this will do is allow some of those companies, and usually, what the bigger brands do, then it kind of trickles down to the smaller businesses. But what this will allow them to do is finally to, kind of stop holding on and waiting to see, what everybody else in the industry is doing, and just really go out there, to Trey's point, and test. You aren't gonna really learn anything until you actually, test and tweak, and then test and tweak again. So I really think that this is gonna force some of the larger companies to really step up with investing more into digital. I mean, my last company barely had an e-commerce site. So, when you're in that type of position, then now you're playing catch up. So instead of now playing catch up, a lot more of these companies will be a little more proactive in their digital approach.
One thing for me, my background is in web development, and probably the big buzzword over the last 10, 15 years has been agile, right? Agile development. And if anybody's familiar, the difference between agile and waterfall, or, agile is for change, right? So in big development projects, you can't just say, hey, here's the scope, work a year, complete it, because over that year, things will change. So agile is about kind of these sprints where you do something for 2 weeks. Okay, let's get back to the drawing board. What makes the most sense to work on now? And I think those same principles that I learned from web development and agile development now is being more broadly, and has to be, that same mindset has to be used across the business as a whole, because it's almost like the new way of business is going to be an agile way, because the people who succeed are the people who can adapt and change the easiest. So if you're thinking from an agile standpoint, if something comes up, you're kind of more prepared to make a change or make a pivot, because you haven't, kind of similar to what Trey said, is we have to be open to the way we're going to do it. We might say today, this is our plan. Well, how we implement that may change in 2 weeks, because some new technology came out, some new issue or something, new regulations, new, the COVID, something happens. But if you have a change mindset and you're open to that change, then I think that'll help you be prepared more in the future.
Yeah, I think if you have a change mindset, instead of having to play catch up, like what Jasmine said, you can level up when everyone else is trying to figure out exactly what's even there. Yeah, but here's a good way of saying it. A lot of people have spent the last 100 days reacting to what happened, and because of the position we were in, we were able to respond. And a response is calculated, right? It's based in fact. not based in fear. It's based in data. You're able to move forward intelligently with sound business decision-making process, even if you don't have 100% of the information, instead of just, reacting, and you just kind of go in a frenzied area. And that, I would say, that's been one of that kind of like, take a step back, take a breath, look at the data that we have. What do we know to be true? Act on that. What else do we not know to be true that we need to go and test on and figure out, and keeping that change mindset? That's an unlock for everything in your business, whether a pandemic happens again or not. Just being open-handed, I think, is one of the greatest things that I could tell anyone that's in the online business, is because stuff is going to change. Many of us work on platforms that people own, Facebook, Google, like these places, they can change whatever they want. Like, we are always at their discretion, not our own discretion. So we have to be open-handed.
Yeah, one of the things too that we've been looking at, like Franke is a huge company. My division is just a very small arm of the company. And one of the big things that we do is we're in the restaurant business. So all of, the commercial kitchen systems, stainless steel equipment for McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell. So, we take our learnings too from them. They have been on the forward of augmented reality. So that's how we train people now, in the McDonald's environment, how to use the equipment. They do it all by virtual reality. And so now we're taking that technology and we're also bringing it into our environment. So, which actually will help us as we go through too, for the better consumer experience. Because you can imagine, like I was telling, how do you look at your sink? But if you could do it virtually, and you go into a showroom and you could see it in different kitchen environments, or you can swap and you can see different colors of granite sinks or different faucets. So, again, it's taking all those different learnings for us in our industry. And we're fortunate enough that they were, well ahead at the forefront, and, applying those to our market and to our industry. And so we've kind of speeded that up too over the course, so we were able to react. Now, it's not 100% there, but the software and the technology is there. And all we have to do is get in the different types of kitchen environments. And we're also working with a lot of our retail partners who will implement this, because right now their showrooms are by appointment only. So this will also help them, because like I said, I think there's going to be a new normal, and we're looking forward to see what that new normal is.
Well, I know at the moment each of you have taken changes since the beginning of March, when we were all thrown into this together. Why don't you share, for the operational side of things, what some of those technologies you've implemented and what the new normal currently is?
I know for myself, me and Trey were kind of, talking about this, going back and forth with ads. The ad spend currently has been very, very good price. So ramping up ads has been, what's really worked well for me during this time, because the cost has been fairly low compared to, what it was previously. So with my technologies, it's definitely been, running more Facebook and Instagram ads and building email lists, which, again, to Trey's point of, if Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, any of these platforms decide that they want to change their model, you don't own that data. So, building a strong email list is really, really imperative to your business, so that you have a way to still reach your audience if anything, happens. So those have been my main focuses.
I'll complete that thought. We've seen a 70% decrease in the cost of some of our ads and some of our funnels. So obviously, rather than pulling back when we saw those decreases, even just by leaving our spend where it was, we naturally got a lot of lift out of those funnels, but we didn't do that. We leaned into it and really ramped up spend in some of our business units within my division over the last few weeks. And I would articulate the email list kind of growth plan as well. I think there's a lot of people out there right now that are doing very, response guides, crisis management, lead magnets, things of that nature. I see about one every week on LinkedIn from various people that I'm connected to. I think one of the critical things like we still have businesses to run. We want to have servant's heart. We want to serve. We want to be aware. We don't want to take advantage of anything. But at the same time, too, just we say all the time we exist for the people that are outside our walls, which is very much true. But we also, like, my division has 210 people in it. Like, we have families that we're responsible for as business leaders too. Like, we have to think about the totality of all of it. So one of the recommendations I would make to everybody is, if you're going to go do a lead magnet tactic, if you're going to make a PDF or a case study and you're going to do a give in this time frame, like, one of the creative things that I think you can do is to make sure that you're doing a lead magnet that solves a problem that someone is experiencing today in a very giving way, but also plants a seed for a problem they might have in the future that your product and service can solve when that comes up, so that they have some top of mind awareness of you when that happens down the road. Like, for us, we deal with a lot of big churches. Big churches are going to be one of the last groups to open because of the gathering principles and social distancing. So for us, we're building a guide about how to do, online streaming services well, and digital small groups well in this season, with the hopes that when it comes back up, that they'll want to roll out our kind of flagship product once everybody comes back out. So just thinking about how you can give now, but also still think about the demands of your business down the road as well.
Yeah, I think some of the technology.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Albert.
Did you want to follow up with what Trey was saying, Tammy?
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. Just technology that we've been looking at a little bit different from the digital space, or from like digital advertisement. We've been looking at a lot of like cashless and contactless point of sale systems, and then so a lot of mobile ordering, wait time. Our business, we're bringing people to the arena. So with COVID and the new normal, that's going to be very different. And so along with those cashless, POS, contactless, how those tie into engagement and loyalty as well has been like one of our big focuses from the marketing department. Has been, okay, we know the venue is going to be we want to go cashless, we want to go contactless, but then how can we also, now that those people are the same person who may have stood in line for a particular beverage or anything, how can we collect that data? How can we incentivize people to order that way? How can we be smarter and offer them more stuff? So it's been a lot around that experience, and then how we can tie that into learning more about our customers.
Yeah, and some of the things that we've been doing is more about, getting with the customer, experience. So, as we know that a lot of people were staying at home, we work with a chef, and so we were posting, more videos, doing virtual cooking classes. We host a lot of events too with our partners. So a lot of times what we were doing is virtual events. We also, with our showroom managers, we have to conduct we deal with a lot with designers and architects. So we'd have like virtual happy hours, just again, to keep that relationship and keep that communication going with our business partners as well with the consumer. So we too leaned a lot on our chef who was posting, fun recipes. What's the recipe of the week? Again, they may not be ready to buy your product at the time, but it's getting them through the issues of the time. And giving them something, just that they can look forward to. Our social media content, we totally changed it up, more about just creating consumer experiences rather than pushing product. We have always pretty much done that too. But again, we basically took the situation and said, okay, how can we add value to people today and what they're going through? And so for us, it was food. The way through to people's heart is always food and drinks.
Yeah, we did a similar thing, kind of again, a very analog product. We had an online website that kind of came as an inclusion and included in your 1-year membership, but we were already doubling down and taking the kind of Facebook, Microsoft Office 360 mindset of when you're logged into the web experience, it's one unified web app. But when you're in the mobile experience, we've broken the various compartments of it down into single, lightweight, easy to use apps. And so one of the things that we were able to do in the last 90 days is we've released 2 new apps in the marketplace that it seems like we built them overnight. You know, again, because of that 3-year transition, we already had some of it in development behind the scenes, but we were able to put it out in a really compelling way. And then on top of that, what we ultimately did was we allowed everyone to get their first 14 days of their membership for free so that they could get in, try the content out, try the budgeting software out, try the tracking software out, see if this is where they wanted to manage their money kind of moving forward. And we've seen, you know, people, we average about a 1.8 to a 2.3 kind of hard e-commerce conversion rate on the history of our funnel. And we were able to see that come up to about a 6%, 6.5% e-commerce conversion rate in the last 75 days, which in my 12 years of doing this full time, it's some of the best rates I've ever been a part of. And it really didn't have anything to do with other than positioning, just the way now we'd added value to the product. We made it easier to use, but it was more the positioning of, and the availability of taking the price discounting off the table and just making the whole thing free for a couple of weeks so you could go in and check it out. And I saw Beachbody and some gym clubs, like a bunch of, I forget the bike company. I can't think of them right now. They did the same thing with their Peloton. Peloton did the same thing with their. So it felt like the right thing to do. It was kind of like table stakes in the marketplace, and it has boded very well for our business.
I saw a question. Ryan,
absolutely. Yep. We do have a question from our audience. It's for you, Albert. Can you give a few examples of how you kept engagement with fans / ticket holders when they were unable to engage with the Grizzlies anytime over the past 90 days and currently? Are there any successes you saw during this crisis that you will continue to use moving forward?
I think a few places, and even kind of talking to some points that Tammy just mentioned, or some ways, the virtual happy hours for season ticket members as well as for our partners, that's been a tremendous success. One of the ways we used events and field events a lot to get leads for our sales reps to contact people for season tickets, and we don't have that ability. So we had to do a lot of those virtual happy hours, virtual webinars with different guest speakers. We had some coaches, like where a coach's Q&A, so that MVPs and fans could ask the coaches questions. I think we had a few players get in on some one-on-one calls to certain fans. And then for the general fans, we really utilized our mobile app. We tried to utilize that as much. We did like a trivia that went over very well, where we were able to do lead capture as well as keep people engaged within the brand. And I think just in general, it made us step up some of our social media content, just like whether we're doing coloring books for players, virtual workouts. And so I think a lot of that we were able to do. And then we've realized that, hey, this is content that actually we can continue doing that doesn't cost, in a sense, cost a lot to do, right? We can call up a guy, ask the coach, hey, do you have an hour to jump on a Zoom call? He doesn't have to leave his home. He doesn't have to be somewhere at a certain time. So it kind of actually saves time, and we can reach out to people for a lower cost. So I think a lot of those are the things that I think we will continue to see.
Excellent. And just a reminder to the audience, please go ahead and keep sending questions in. To continue with this specific topic, Tammy, could you elaborate a little bit on what sort of engagement you're doing? I know you mentioned before that you're working with chefs and helping to get recipes out. Talk a little bit more about that part of the digital experience for your consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, we hooked up with a chef that we used to actually start taking to our trade shows. He, obviously, like I said, we would do live cooking in our booth. And, when we started engaging more in social media, a lot of people were asking, like for recipes. And, we just basically decided that we were going to take our product and make it more food oriented, because you do a lot of prepping. So, and another thing too that we do is we like to have a lot of contests. So, we, with our chef, we've had contests where they submit a recipe, or, they do a remodel on their kitchen, and, we'll have a contest, and it doesn't have to be it could be anybody's product, because really, again, like I can't kind of emphasize as much, it's really all about that consumer experience. what we want to do is just engage with that customer, through our virtual events, both on the B2C and the B2B. And then, we capture them. And I think somebody said earlier, and I think it might have been Jasmine, where, you kind of just want to establish that hint of the brand in their name, or, in their mindset, so that when they come to buying, that piece of clothing, or, that software, or, they want to go to a game, or, they're remodeling their kitchen, that, our brand becomes to the forefront, because again, it's something that they've experienced with. Another thing too that we've done is pin to win on Pinterest. So that was one where we did the remodeling. So you didn't even really need to remodel your kitchen. You could have just added a new accessory, or just done a refresh. And so we had a Pinterest contest, where they would do like a pin to win. And then we had different prizes. So you could win a free faucet, because obviously that's easy. Prize was actually a virtual dinner with our chef, so where he would give you an actual cooking class right online. So basically through Zoom or FaceTime or anything like that, and you would send them the ingredients of the list, and then they would perform the cooking class with the chef.
Well, Tammy, I know if your customers are anything like my wife went to the store to change out a toilet paper holder in one of our bathrooms, and I ended up with an entirely new bathroom. So
there you go.
Hopefully your business is booming.
That's the kind of people we like, though.
Yeah,
right?
I bet. And I'm the one that works for a company that has budgeting software, and I'm going, babe, is this in the? I'm not sure I saw a new bathroom in the May budget, but that's what we ended up with.
Yeah, well, this time through COVID, it's amazing, but you're right. A lot of people have been nesting, so they're looking for all these renovation projects, and we've seen a huge increase in our, DIY business. So it's been, like I said, it's been phenomenal, and which made us really kind of go back out to those e-commerce accounts and make sure that our content was robust enough, because, people are obviously, they don't want they don't want to go to the store and shop, so they're making those purchasing decisions online.
Jasmine, I'm curious to know if sort of the local shop small, shop online, shop local message helping the small business out, have you seen that resonate in this time frame with your clients and even in your own store?
Yeah, definitely. There's my business personally has been up 30-40% over the last 3 months. So it's definitely been a lot of support from the community. To Tammy's point, people just making those purchasing decisions at home. Also, some things that I did in terms of like virtual experiences is providing like virtual styling services. So actually showing, customers how they can wear pieces. So no, you may not be going, out for brunch or on a date, but you can have a date night at home, or you can have a virtual brunch and happy hours with your girlfriends and still get dressed up. So really kind of providing those experiences to where they're just kind of thinking outside the box, and it's not their day to day, but hey, this is the time that we're in now, but this is still how you can look fashionable. I was really encouraging my audience to get dressed, because a lot of them, again, you're working at home. You may have on a top at the bottom and some pajama pants at the at the bottom. So it was really encouraging them to get dressed. When you get dressed, you look better, you feel better. So this is not the time to lose that confidence. So, here are some ways that you can style some of the looks. So definitely it has been a lot of support with supporting the small businesses.
Well, I'd like to jump in and change the topic a little bit. I know that we've been discussing COVID-19 a lot, but it would be irresponsible for me to neglect the fact that currently Black Lives Matter's movement is a huge piece of everyone's life, and it affects everyone. I want to know a bit more about how that has changed your digital experience at the moment as well. Anyone can jump in.
Great question. And thanks for bringing it up. It's been hard, I would say. It's trying to be for me, a coach, coaching other entrepreneurs, but also I'm trying to move forward in my business when when there's pain and there's murders and things like that. So what I did personally was created a specific collection that was called the We Matter collection that had, a variety of t-shirts that, sometimes there just aren't words to describe how you're feeling. So it was, a variety of statements such as being Black is not a crime, and invest in representation in terms of companies charging, corporations to invest in, having Black leaders at your company. So I used, my voice to put it on fashion because that's fashion is what I know, and that's what I do. So have really seen a lot of support with that specific collection, but I'm also donating some of those proceeds to the Black Lives Matter organization and some of the families of the victims. So I found, my way to give back to that and kind of fight through, the pain, but definitely not where, I can just sit and be silent. Definitely send out something to my customers as well as clients, speaking on the matter, that this is not, business as usual. It can't be, because I have, my father's Black, my cousins, uncles, godson. So it's not a business as usual, and don't expect it to be. So I think transparency is really crucial in this time. I think it's important to be, honest with your customers, with your colleagues. If you don't know, you don't know, but it's educating yourself to kind of understand why this is happening and why it's so important that, you as a company, as a business owner, really kind of speak out about it.
And listen, I don't pretend to be able to relate. What I will say is that coronavirus is not the biggest virus we have in the world right now, especially not here in the States. And until this thing actually gets the antidote, which is love and recognition and equality, and recognizing people that we are all one race, in my opinion, not multiple races, and giving people value. So kudos to you. Send me the link. I want to make sure that I support what you're doing. That is awesome. And thank you for sharing that you're doing that.
Yeah, we're also getting together with there's a lot of support going around for this, and our business partner associations like the National Kitchen Bath Association, the American Society for Interior Designers, we're all pulling together, manufacturers, organizations, to really support this. I agree with Trey, we're all just one, and we've got, we're right, the US has bigger issues than COVID. Amen to that, well spoken. And we're here to support you. Right. I mean, we're trying to do everything we possibly can as an organization. Even our global organization is supporting, and which is really nice to see, because, they don't see situations like this maybe, in different countries of the world, but they're supporting us. And, just some of the emails that they send out right from our president is really heartfelt. So there's a lot of organizations out there who are supporting this.
Yeah, and I think the NBA in general did a pretty good job of communicating and putting a message out there. And from our team and from our organization, we did the same. And how that affected digital and marketing. We one of our big partners here in Memphis is the National Civil Rights Museum. So over the past I think 10, 15 years, we've continuously had conversations, and we've spoke about just social justice and this type of topic. So now we're kind of moving into a phase where we're putting together digital kind of like resource pages and like places where people can go to these conversations and kind of hear where we're at. And then I think in like similar to what Jasmine said and what we all said is like, it is a, it's a very emotional, it's a very type of sensitive space, right? So I think a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to navigate through, do we put a pause on certain sales messaging? How do we actually communicate with fans at this particular moment? So I think that puts a challenge, but I think it, again, it's kind of like, this is a bigger picture thing through love, through unity, through just trying to, I think it's a I've said this about diversity for a while, is like, it's more of a business. It's more of a business thing too, as well, right? Like, so the more diverse your company is, the more open, the more you understand different people and you can see different perspectives, the better you can be in business. So it's kind of, I think these type of situations kind of blend the two even more, life and business, and like taking those same type of principles of, I respect these other people and I respect this person, that we would normally want to do in business, we should do that in life too. So it's kind of one of those places where I think everybody's trying to navigate the correct space. But I think if we look at it from we're really one race, everybody can bring value. Like, let's look at it as human beings. I think we'll get in a better place.
Yeah, thank you each. IC Summits, we share each of your sentiments. It's an important issue that we talk about, and all we can do at the moment is continue to educate ourselves and support everyone in the best way that we can. I do want to change the topic a little bit because the Memphis Grizzlies have a unique situation where their consumer spending is way down, obviously, because they didn't have much of an option but to follow the guidelines that was set out by the nation and also the NBA. As you guys plan to start to ramp up, we know that the growth will be exponential, but can you talk a little bit about what that future looks like for you guys?
Yeah, and this is just being honest. I think the future has to be where we look at it again, kind of what I mentioned earlier, from an agile mindset, simply because there's a lot of unknowns, right? Like, for us, we're in a position where we're forced to think like that because when the season starts back, when players go, how the arenas open back up, a lot of those situations are out of our hands, like at this moment from a franchise level. And so a lot of it is going to be, what we've been doing is trying to be as prepared as possible with the information that comes to us. So I think a lot of it is going to be kind of what I mentioned, ramping up all our digital engagement, digital loyalty. How can we create a better experience online? Thinking outside of the box, just because we are literally dealing in an unknown space. Like, just telling and being honest, like, we probably don't know too much more information than you all, right? As far as when the season's like, what does that look like when we go to Orlando? When does the season gonna start? When the season starts, are people gonna want to come back to arenas? That was COVID. Then you have, again, like you mentioned, then there's a whole nother piece about what's happening in the country, and then where the sports fit in with that. So I think we're looking at a challenge, but I think this is where a time where, for us even more so, we have to be, like you said, our fists got to be balled. No, we want to move forward with change, but we got to have our hands open to how we do that, because we have to be able to react with whatever makes the most sense. So I think a lot of it, but a lot of it is our digital initiatives that we were thinking. Now we have to, all of, like, what may have been, hey, we think we can do that next year, we may get to that the year after. Now that's, hey, we need to get on the phone with that vendor. We need to figure out what we're going to do in this particular space. So it kind of fast forwarded our different digital initiatives around engagement, around loyalty, around mobile, around cashless, contactless, and things like that.
Absolutely. And talking about fast forwarding, I know when we all had a conversation prior to this, just to ramp up for this panel, Trey shared the fact that they weren't using the technologies that they are now, and the fact that it was something that they had planned to be using later in the year and got thrown into it. Trey, would you like to share a bit about how COVID-19 and the current environment sped everything up for you guys?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Its speed is not something we lack right now, and so much so that I will say our team, so we, Albert mentioned waterfall and agile earlier. So we're huge Marty Kagan fans. He's a product marketer out of Silicon Valley. If you're ever thinking about building digital product or digital product teams, I highly recommend reading the book Inspired and understanding what they teach in Silicon Valley Product Group. But we're super close to our customers. We keep a focus group of our customers. We talk to our customers all the time. And so one of the first things that we did before we made the fundamental changes we made is we went to that sort of advisory board of our customers and said, hey, this is the problem we're facing. This is what we're thinking about doing about it. Here's the way we plan to roll it out. Like, speak into this, like, help us understand as we go out to the existing customers. Cause like one of our apps has about 950,000 monthly active users. Okay. So it's a large, very engaged group of people. So the last thing we wanted to do was to try and fix the problem that the non-customers are experiencing at the mercy of our current customers, right? We didn't want to, isolate the two. And so we used a lot of customer interviews, a lot of Optimizely, which is a platform that's great for testing. If you've never gotten into testing, understanding different look, tone, feel, understanding different positioning, how we're actually going to interact. And then ultimately we ended up doing a lot of over the phone using usertesting.com, actual user interviews with Whitespace and Grayspace to kind of say, this is what our customers are saying. This is what Whitespace is saying. How do we then use the data to inform what it is we want to do moving forward? And out of that was born the idea of, we need to make these apps more lightweight on our mobile phone, and we can do a heavier deep dive in the full-on web version. And we've actually seen both engagement numbers go up. Like, once we did that, the web usage, people are on there for longer. They're using more pages when they're inside of the web app, and the mobile usage, more downloads, more velocity and free user acquisition. And so we've seen our funnel improve on both sides because we took a step back and took the chance to talk to customers and talk to Whitespace, and then kind of arrive at the middle ground between the two. And ultimately we use tech platforms to create human experiences, which is ultimately what all this comes down to. We're still humans doing business with humans. We just sometimes use products as the intermediary. We just have to recognize that.
Yep.
Jasmine, would you like to weigh in on any of the technologies that are new to you that you've been using because of the way that people are engaging?
Yeah, like I said, mine is, again, kind of more having those experiences. So, using technology like Zoom to do virtual styling sessions. I did use a new tool where it's an app. So I use Shopify for e-commerce business, and there's an app. I want to say, I can't think of who it's created by, but it's like a spin the wheel. So a customer goes onto the site. So I'm consistently driving traffic to website, getting new leads into the website so that I can eventually retarget them. So one of the first things they see when they go onto the website is this spin the wheel game. And so it consists of different prizes. So free shipping, or, various discounts, buy one, get one. And just, within a few days, I've gotten so many emails just based off that, because you're just, again, you're providing customers a different way to engage with you, have a little bit of fun, because they're like, oh, I can win something. And I put the spin the wheel also has a timer on it. So they only have a certain amount of time that they can use whatever the prize is. So then that increases conversion, because, there's a sense of urgency of when they can actually use that discount. So I've just been, honestly, just trying different things. This has really been a time for me, and also for my clients, is like, hey, just go out and test it and see. It's not going to hurt if you just test something. So don't be afraid to try something new. I did a virtual sale. So where it solely was on like Instagram stories. I had some old inventory that needed to be moved, and I put up the price and a picture of the price, and it was kind of like a bid. So if you wanted that item, you kind of had to be the first to get to it, and then, it was shipped out to you. So just kind of trying different ways to engage with the audience, but also, keeping it fun, but not being afraid to test and try new things.
And I know, Tammy, you also mentioned before that you had used some sort of a wheel. What other technologies might you be using that you hadn't mentioned previously?
Well,
Anything to
one
share
thing
with?
too that, yeah, that we've done is, obviously like this summit, there's no more conventions. And so there's no more trade shows. And a lot of our partners, our retail customers have shows where their stores or their franchisees will come to see the new products. So just recently we've had to hold a virtual show. So it's a little bit different than, just a summit or, where you have speakers. I mean, how do you show your product virtually now? And this was for every manufacturer that this company deals with. And this was a retailer out of Canada called Home Hardware, very similar to like a Home Depot, but on a smaller basis, just for reference. So we had to get really creative with our content. And that's where we kind of, again, to Jasmine's point, we had to lure them to our booth so they would come in and look at our products virtually. So we did a spin to win. We weren't as creative though. We didn't limit it to a certain amount of time. I like that. But that's where we used it. And then again, we did like a lot of interactive PDFs. So, because everything had to be downloadable to a PDF. So what we did was we did interactive PDFs. So if you clicked on it, it took you to a video, or it took you to, a description of what it could be, or more images. So there was a lot of interactive. That was new for us, creating all this interactive PDFs. We had lots of video sources, but I would say, and we've got a few more of these shows that are on the horizon because our customers are not doing the trade shows this year. But another thing too that we're looking at that we haven't implemented yet is becoming a virtual, and there's chat bots when you go on people's sites, that you can chat with, but it's all, it's digital, it's, scripted responses. What we want to do is we want to become like an advisor, especially now where customers can't get into those showrooms. So when they come to our website, so you can actually click on a button and do like a little Zoom meeting with, a product expert. Just little simple things like that, but it's face to face. We just 50% missing
Sorry,
that
you're breaking up a little bit.
action when they're shopping.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. You're clear now.
So, yeah. So I just read a study that 55% of customers during this are missing that human connection. So it's, how do we bring back that human connection? Like digital's great, right? But we all want that human interaction. How do we put the human interaction back into it? And we're doing it today, right? Like, we're all looking at each other and it's so simple. So we're looking at that. We're working with our IT people right now to see if, on our website that we can just have a little button where it automatically goes into a video chat with one of our product experts.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up a statistic. I have one as well that I want to share with you guys, and I want to get your opinions. It's dealing with the future. So shopping online is, and this comes, I apologize, this comes from Prosper Insights and Analytics. Shopping online is the new normal, and 30% of people say they plan to shop more online in the future. Even 28.3% of those people are 65 plus, and they also say that they plan to. 33.8% of that is in the 18 to 24 range. So a large group of people are comfortable and feel like they are going to continue to shop online. How, for your business, does that change your strategy for the future?
Yeah, I'll tell you the biggest caveat I will say to statistical models like that is one of the things we've seen here recently is online was always trending up, and what we would see in our funnel was that mobile traffic was overtaking desktop traffic. That's something we all understand. But the interesting thing that we've drilled down to, especially in the last 100 days, is that while traffic was getting overtaken by mobile platforms, purchases were still happening on desktops for the most part for us within our funnel. So what I would just call out is as more and more people shop online, we just need to make sure within our own funnels, is it that they're browsing more online than they were before? Or are they actually getting to the point of sale and making the purchase online? I think they will be, but just understanding to what degree are the various segments within your business doing that, and how are you best serving a purchase experience from a 5-inch screen compared to a 15-inch screen? How do you make those experiences dynamic for where they are to ultimately improve your conversion rate?
And also just having that that experience from touch point to touch point. So if a customer first finds you on social media, making sure that, you know, your social media presence is the same as it is on your website, that, you know, most of us here, we're selling some type of product or service. So with that, you know, there's a story. You're attaching this to a story. So making sure that that is cohesive throughout all channels, I think, is super important. You know, making sure that your mobile site is actually optimized, you know, for the increased online, you know, shopping. I know for myself, if I shop mostly on my phone, I don't necessarily really make purchases on desktop. I just do everything, you know, with my phone. But if I am on my phone and I am shopping on a website and I can't read all the copy, or I can't see the product images, I'm going to bounce off the site. So I think it's super important to, again, increase that conversion rate by making sure that, you know, your mobile site, your mobile presence is optimized for, you know, for mobile use.
Throwing this
Yeah.
in there.
Go ahead, Albert. You go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, for us, you know, some of the in-person sales, one of them, if a person was purchasing single tickets or purchasing tickets for concerts, they may come to the arena and purchase it from the box office. I don't foresee that happening going forward. So we have to do a lot more of our marketing efforts on digital. Our season ticket members, they were, I think, because historically the season ticket members or our fan base were used to doing a certain thing, right? So they had a real personal relationship with their season ticket rep, where I've seen people actually come up to the arena to say, hey, I want my paper tickets, or here's my deposit, here's my check deposit for my single tickets. And so there was a lot of pushback from the organization where, like, I don't think our fans will buy online. I don't think they'll do this. So now, even if the data has been saying it's been trending that way, and we're starting to find out, if you give it to them and you give them the opportunity to purchase online and you show them that it's an easy experience, you'll find out that even though the person that you thought would never purchase online, if you made it easy and you told them that they could do it that way, after they get over that hump, it's going to be a smooth transition. So sometimes it's like making sure in the organization, you're understanding that you have to be thinking forward. Like, you have to want to provide the new value for people. And one of the ways, like, I think until recently, you couldn't make a deposit online for your season tickets. And so that's one of the ways where, like, hey, let's make sure people can do that. Let's make sure it's optimized. So when they come to the page, instead of needing to click a form and then someone has to contact them another day, if they're ready to make a purchase or make a deposit right then, we want them to be able to do that. And so I think organizations just have to think from that mindset of, like, not just what people have done or been used to in the past, but like what people are going to be expecting in the future and how you can add to that, how you can add value to that experience.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, I'm going to go back to that, you know, one word or two words, it's the consumer experience. You know, we're always looking at research, and, you know, today's consumer, I mean, that especially wants to be, you've got further click. So how to create that consumer experience and come abroad in their mind, maybe not for but for future. So again, you know, we're doing it through different ways. You know, we can become the person you go to look for recipes. And yeah, you know, we're not talking about our products at all. So we're trying to find every single way. And, you know, you're absolutely right. Your website has to be spot on. And that's one thing that, you know, we need to really seriously look at, and has really made us look at it a little bit harder during COVID, because, you know, we've relied a lot on our business partners. You know, we sell all our products on .coms. So, you know, on Amazon and Home Depot and Lowe's and a whole host of other people, but our own website isn't robust enough. And it all kind of really starts at home. So we've gone back and, you know, we're really relooking at all the content that we have, making it easier Obviously, Google Analytics is a big, huge part of, everything that we do, and SEO, our search engine optimization, to make sure that at least, when they're searching for products, that they're coming. But again, for us, consumer experience is what we talk about in our marketing roundtables so much, and how, globally, how do we create that experience with our customers? Just again, become part of their life, even after they've made that purchase, being able to, send them recipes on a monthly basis.
Well, any other points that you guys would like to make regarding the future of your business before we change the topic a bit again? No? Well, I was going to go ahead and take some questions now from the audience, but what I'd like to do instead is just get some final thoughts from each of you regarding your current digital experience, everything that you've gone through this year, and just to kind of wrap up the point that you've already made. And then what I will do is open up the room for our attendees to come in. So let's start with Trey. Why don't you give us some final thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that I would say goes back to kind of that visual I did earlier, is like, what are you being open-handed with in your business in this time? How are you having your ear to the ground with not only what's going on with your customers, but what's going on in the world? And how do you actually be a helpful human during this time? It's critical to success. Those of us that are working from home or back in the office that are e-com first, we don't necessarily interface with our human being customers on a daily basis. It's just digital code going across the screen. So I would just challenge you to be a human in this time. Make sure you're talking to your customers, make sure you're aware of what's going on, and that you continue to challenge the status quo and respond, don't react.
Absolutely. Jasmine?
There's one thing I would say, again, really test and tweak. That is always something that I teach. It's something that I practice, not being afraid to test new things. And as you learn whatever that new thing is, tweaking it, making those, refinements as you're moving and growing along. So don't be afraid to test and try new things. I think that is critical for the success and growth of businesses during this time. The old way that you used to do business is not going to be the way that it is going forward. So, again, being able to test and being open, as Trey said, being open to being able to test and try those new things is imperative.
Absolutely. Albert?
That's very similar. I had right here, open to change, testing, listen to customers, and then one piece is just that agile thinking. Be able to just be open and to just keep looping it. Get that feedback, put it back into action, and keep that process going. I think that's really important in the way things are changing. You have to be open, and you have to kind of take your learnings, put them back in, run it, learn it again, and just keep that cycle going.
And Tammy?
Yeah, and I agree with all my colleagues on the panel. And the only thing that I'd like to add is, if for the e-commerce, find a solution to some of the problems that they're having, and just, and it may not be a specific product or a service, but, maybe you can help them out. Maybe you can do something for them, just to communicate with them and be there for them and create that experience for them. And again, don't be afraid to try things like, Jasmine was saying, try it. Like we're going to try virtual reality showrooms. I mean, who would have ever thought? But it's a whole new world out there, and it's running a lot faster than I think we ever thought it was. So it's actually exciting. I mean, it really is exciting. So.
Well, thank you all so much. Again, I want to thank Tammy, Jasmine, Albert, and Trey. I encourage you all to stay for our networking break. At this time, we're going to open up this space for everyone to, again, turn on their mics and their videos so that they can ask you questions, and we can continue to talk about this topic. If you do not wish to be seen, click stop video now. Please bear with us during this transition. You'll see the screen automatically turn off and back on for many of you. You don't have to do anything but unmute yourself and turn your video on. Just a reminder, it helps if you wear headphones so that we don't get any feedback. And now I'm sure our panelists would like to hear your thoughts on the topic. So go ahead if somebody would like to start.